Okay, so it has created the Terraform strategy for the deployment part, for the deployment package. Quite too much of information, but let's start with the Terraform deployment guide. Okay, so it says the required tool. First, I think I need to install Terraform. I don't remember installing Terraform in my system. So let me quickly start. Let me quickly open a terminal. Okay, let me check if the nope. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Terraform hyphen hyphen version. Terraform is already installed. Your version of Terraform is out of date. Okay, you can update your Terraform. Let me update my Terraform. There is a Terraform cheat sheet apparently. If I can use something from here to update, upgrade the provider. Wow. Okay, maybe I'll just quickly copy paste this. It's been installed. I don't want to install. I just want to upgrade it to Mac OS. Mac. Yeah. Pro HashiCorp. You can update. Okay. Update Terraform version on Mac. Puck, 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 puck. Brew update. First, I need to update my brew, my package installer for Mac OS, and then I think I just need to upgrade the Terraform. Yeah. Okay. So I can just quick upgrade. So yeah, this is. Oh, let me quickly hide myself. So here it is trying to upgrade the Terraform from 1.10.5 to 1.14.4. I think now it is upgraded. Okay, so it is 1.14.4. Cool. Coming back to this deployment guide. The Terraform is already there. I think it is asking me to ensure the CLI is there. Can I just do this? For the CLI part, it says install the C. Let me check if I have the CLI as well. I hope this is the command for CLI. It says it should be greater than or equal to 2.0. I think it should be. Yeah, the CLI is 2.2.7. Node versions is also greater than 14 for sure. Definitely NPM would be there. I don't want to check that. Your AWS user role needs the permission to create and manage the initial setup. Okay, so here it says clone or organize your project. mkdir create a project for the face recognition. So it says that I need to create under the face recognition a Terraform folder. Then okay, should I just Configure the Terraform variables. Okay. Customize the values of the Terraform, definitely. That what is my project name, blah blah blah. Verify the Lambda functions. Okay, it will generate the Lambda function out of that Node.js. Deployment step, initialize the Terraform, expected output, review the Terraform plan once before it executes or before it deploys to AWS, what exactly it is planning to deploy onto AWS as an infrastructure. And then you apply this. That means it will be deployed like publish to the AWS so that it creates the infra, right? Like those are the step three. Save outputs. Mm-hmm. Mm, PI endpoint. Post deployment, upload the reference images. This I have done manually. If you remember, I have just dragged and dropped the images, but I can use the AWS CLI to go to S3, copy from my local folder to the S3 bucket, right? It is giving me the command in order to do that. Best practices for reference images, update the front end. Okay, step two is update front end. Step one is to initialize. I think step one is majorly for the backend part. Looks like that. And step two is for step two is to update the front end. So source app, replace the API endpoints, right? Or use sed, build the front end. That means you need to create the dist folder. Um, Deploy the front end to S3 using CLI. It just say me just to copy paste or you can drag and drop. Access your application, Terraform output, front end, web URL, website URL. So it gives me where exactly my front end URL would be hosted to using the Terraform command. Management command, view infrastructure state. Okay, I can see the state of my infra, how it is. I can see the logs, test deployment, scaling. Okay. On a very high level, this looks good. Best practices, state management, create the state bucket, security, never commit the sensitive information, put it inside the git ignore or of TFVARS, Terraform variables, GitHub action, advanced CI/CD approach. I can have a workflow, I can have terraform.yaml file where I can have the steps in order to perform the Terraform. I can use the GitHub actions to do the same, right? Like, okay, cool. I have the Terraform installed. Let me start. So create a project directory, clone or organize your project, make face recognition app slash Terraform, change the directory to the face recognition app. I think I'm already in the backend. Copy the Lambda function to the root. Copy the Lambda function to the root. So it is asking me the path of the Lambda function .js to the current root. That means only the JS file, but I need to build the backend, right? I need to build this. I have not built it yet. Configure the Terraform variables. Step two. This is very high level. Like it is the high level part, but in the code as well. Like it is not giving me the exact step by step approach. Customize this values. Okay. .hcl file. Verify it as from the template directory. Deployment step, initialize the Terraform. Okay, so here is where it initialize. Okay, so so it is asking me to directly create create the project directory. Okay, the project is already there. The Node.js backend. I, backend. I need to copy the path of the Lambda server.js. This code over here, but this is again the code is locally ready, not deployably ready. Let's say that. Um, I think I need to build it first. Okay, let's start. So for the backend, this is the front end. This is the backend that has been on. Let me stop it. Stop the front end and back end where it is hosted. So let me come back to the backend part. I'll create a Terraform folder because I already have the project which is here. Mkdir Terraform. So I have the Terraform folder. Copy the function to the root. I'll see this later. Change directory Terraform. I'm inside the Terraform folder. So it is asking me to copy the Terraform variable. Okay. So it is asking me to copy the Terraform variable example to this file. Okay. So I would do cp, then I need to download this and then do the copy from the source to destination. Rather I would do, I think it was cat is it is just to see in the command line. What was the command to create a file? Touch. Yeah, it was touch. So I'll create this file terraform.tfvrs. Now instead of doing nano, I can use the VS Code to open that file which I created just now. Customize the values. Under this file, I would like to customize this. Don't worry, this would doesn't really matter if you see this because I'll be removing it while pushing, and once this tutorial is done or once this video is uploaded, I'll delete this. So I'll ensure the AWS region is US East 1. Okay, that's good. Environment broad, project name is captured image backend, reference image prefix. I remember for the prefix part, what did we do? Let me quickly go to S3. Stages, images. There were three images. Permission. I'm just trying to recall. Oh, the environment should have the prefix. Yeah, it is Tejas. Okay. Similarity threshold 80. Lambda layout timeout time 30 minutes. That's too much. I'll just say 15. Log retention for 7 days. For the Lambda memory size 512 MB. Okay. Looks looks clean, fine enough. Verify the Lambda. Ensure the Lambda function .h is in the parent. But I haven't yet. This this is not a Lambda function. This is still the server.js function. It is asking me to ensure that at at this folder it is asking me to ls dot slash. That means at the root level it is asking me that you have this as your server.js as your parent directory. Now it is asking me change directory to Terraform. It is asking me to run the Terraform init command. Okay, so let's start. Let's see. It is asking me to go inside the Terraform. I am inside the Terraform now. Terraform folder, right? Terraform init. Terraform initialized is an empty directory. The directory has no Terraform configuration. You begin working with Terraform immediately by creating the folder configuration. Expected output initializing the backend, initializing the provider. No, this did not happen. The project structure is over here. So if you see my project structure, the face recognition app, this is my app. The Terraform folder where you have the Terraform variable which I created just now. At the root level, it should have the lambda hyphen function .js. Source it has app.js. Okay, this is for the React front end part. This saying that I can have one Terraform itself for both front end and back end, right? Like, no, I want to have a separate Terraform initialize and plan for the front end and back end. Okay. Let me just not depend on this now. Let me just try to check the initializing Terraform. I'll quickly spin up my ChatGPT part. Okay, just ignore. Mm, okay, it works with the code tab. Let me tell it that. Okay, please for my VS upload file, take photo, upload file, right? Like, hey, let me restart this. Okay. Convert the Node.js with Express into serverless into Lambda using Lambda deployable code. Let's see. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This is saying to deploy the install the dependency serverless hyphen HTTP. I don't think I want to do that. No, no, I don't want to do that. It is using serverless.yaml. No, I want to use Terraform. That's where I started with. Not using serverless, rather using Terra. If I can spell Terraform, Terraform. Perfect. Terraform plus Lambda is a solid grown up choice. Okay. Express as the minimal change. My Express. I have my Express. No app listens in Lambda. Okay. Let me quickly go and verify that. App Express module.export app. I don't think I am doing module.export. I'm not doing module.export. Yeah. So it is asking me to export the app as well. App.get app dot so I have app.post. There are some inbuilt functions to compare and all. App.get, I have to check the health. There is app.listen, which is the where the port at which is listening to. So it is asking me to also do module export equals to app. Okay, app is my express, right? Require express. Okay, no app listen in Lambda. So it is asking me not to do this because it is local part, right? Like I think I should just put if if um, if process dot env, I think it is process dot env dot not equals to prod. If it is not production, then you listen it. Mm. Lambda entry point. Okay, so it asks me to create a lambda.js at the root level. So I have created the lambda.js. It asks me to have a dependency called serverless hyphen http. I don't think I've installed it. And it asks me to the exported module.export from exports from the app. It asks me to take that. I think it should be dot serverless, right? Yeah, it should be dot server. Why does it help? Oh, server.js. The .js is optional. I got that app and I'm using serverless. Okay. Installed the dependency, got that because serverless.http. Let me quickly install. It is installing as a dev dependency, I guess. Yeah, serverless.http. Package for Lambda. It is asking me to package this into production ready. Something I was trying to think, right? Yeah, okay, so maybe quickly I'll try to set it run. Um, let's see. I just want to do CLG npm run start, not node1. I just want to start it. It is listening. Started the front end. What am I trying to do? Just for you, just to let you know what I'm trying to do. I'm ensuring that the process.env which is running, it runs. Yeah, it is running. If the process.env is not prod, right? Like local development, if I'm trying to do it, it works for that also. Okay, good. No, I was not there. Okay. Where was I? Okay. Since I have converted it, okay. If you remember, we have installed the serverless HTTP, the dependency. I was with ChatGPT and with my code. So it is working locally. The module.export equals to app. npm install serverless. I've done that. It is asking me to install Lambda. Wants a zip. Okay. npm install hyphen hyphen production. Zip that file. And then the Terraform IAM role. Okay. The Terraform Lambda function. Now I can do Terraform init and apply. The one which I was trying the command, I need to have all this set. Only then I can. Only then I can do it, right? Okay. So you see all this were missed in the cloud part, or let's say didn't direct me as I was expecting to, because it was just a local running file which I had, huh? So okay, coming back, I've done this. Let me do the npm install production in my bash. Npm install hyphen production. Let's see what it has done. Where did I run that? Backend. Express. Lambda wants a zip. That means zip lambda express hyphen lambda. Apparently the name of my lambda. Okay. Dot. It has zipped it. Okay, I'm really curious now what it has zipped. Revealed in Finder. My zip. What is the size of the zip? 15 MB. My god. Did it zip the node modules as well? Yeah. It has zipped everything, whatever was there at the root level, the lambda.js, the package.js server, the one which, okay, it has zipped everything. Not the ideal way, but let's keep rolling and then I'll come back. The Terraform. IAM role. It is asking me that you will automate this via CI later using continuous integration. I can do it later as a CI, like adding in Jenkins as a step and do this later. But right now, a manual step, right, where I zipped it. Okay, so I need to create this files, the Terraform files. So for the IAM part, let me see. Lambda role, IAM role, Express Lambda role. Okay, so it is creating a role. It has used the role policy. So it is trying to create a role. Sorry, it is trying to create a custom role, Express Lambda role, and then resource AWS IAM role policy, basic attach, role name, AWS IAM dot role dot lambda dot role dot name. So it is attaching this role with the policy URL, policy ARN. Okay. Then for the Lambda part, function name Express API, which was their server Express. There was one Lambda server.js. I just extracted that, right? I should have not done this. The one where I extracted it. Yeah, the lambda.js. So function name Express API. This is a Lambda function name which I'll see. The runtime is Node.js lambda dot handler. Yeah, because I'm exporting the class name is Lambda, so that's the reason why it is Lambda. The class or the file name dot handler is the function name handler, and that's where the serverless I'm trying to spin up, and I'm trying to put this app Express app inside that, right? Here the serverless is the server. The web server is serverless hyphen http, by the way. The role is what I have defined, AWS IAM role dot okay ARN. File name. File name, it says express hyphen lambda dot zip, which I did here. Great. Source code hash, file base 64. Okay, so it is a zip. Memory size, timeout. Okay, so here is where my lambda dot tf file is there. Now, in order to create a API gateway, why am I creating the API gateway? If you remember in our server.js, you have the post endpoint, the get endpoint, right? Like it is acting as an API endpoint apart from doing the computation of comparing the faces and all, right? I also have an API endpoints slash verify slash health. So that's the reason why we need to have an API gateway um, as my HTTP API. Okay, so API gateway.tf file, Terraform file. So my API gateway would be express-http API. It is protocol is HTTP. Got it. API gateway to Lambda integration. Great. So I need to integrate this API to the Lambda. I will draw this later, guys, visually so that we are all in the same page. Or maybe I can do it on spot, so that what I'm trying to visualize, it should be the same that it is trying to do, right? So let's say, uh, I don't want that mesh. So let's say we have Node.js server, Node.js server that has been deployed with Express. Why is it coming? Okay, so the Node.js server. Hmm. Now this guy, the Node.js server, to visualize this, how can I make the visualization, right? Like I'm just thinking, because there is an API gateway, there is a Lambda. We need to do that API gateway and Lambda integration as well. Uh, we need to ensure that all the express routes have been. I think it has given me at start, if I remember something. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So the first part is the API gateway part that maybe I'll quickly draw. So, first, any request comes via API gateway. So first thing that there is a user, and this user is trying to make a call. This user is trying to make a call to the API gateway, and this API gateway in turn needs to serve from something, right? It's just a gateway. It's just for an API request. It's just a gateway. It can serve to any of the server. Here I'm using the Node.js server, where I have my Express part deployed, right? So you can say this Node.js server. This has been deployed in AWS Lambda, right? My Node.js server. I'll use one more box to say background this. Yeah, send it back. This was blue. This is my Lambda, AWS Lambda. So yeah, in the AWS Lambda as a container, I'm trying to deploy this Node.js or my Node.js Node.js server. This part, right? The server.js part. Hmm. This is my lambda.js where I've wrapped it over it. So let's say this is my. I'll quickly name it. It'll be easier. Lambda.js for our reference, and this guy over here, if you just visualize with me, this is your server.js, Nothing but it is deployed in the serverless HTTP. Any request comes, it goes via wrapped over serverless HTTP, goes inside the um, Node.js server, which is, let me not use the word Node.js. This is my Express, or let's say Node.js is the language. Okay, let me not confuse you guys. The Express, where all my functionality is there, right? And this is my server.js file where all my functionality API endpoints are there. So Express, where I have my API endpoint for post endpoint to verify, get endpoint for my health check API. I have all the API endpoints, right? All the API endpoint which are there in server.js that is deployed in Express. Yeah, yeah, this looks good. This looks good. So API gateway, I request a call for either slash verify slash get as an API, goes to API gateway, and from API gateway it goes to AWS Lambda, which has been in Lambda it has been wrapped with via serverless.http. The AWS Lambda is wrapped via serverless.http, the dependency which I have installed, and this wrapped one runs this guy over here, right? So the functionality of app.js or server.js in my case, yeah, which runs the application. Good. This is much more visual now. So I have created the Lambda part, the Terraform via Terraform code, infrastructure as code, API gateway as well. I was about to do the API integration of API gateway with Lambda, right? So I need to copy this code, going back to the, not IAM for sure, API gateway. I need to integrate the API gateway underscore integration, the resource name dot lambda. Mhm. And then the API ID is AWS integration gateway to API dot http API dot ID, integration type AWS proxy, integration URI AWS Lambda function express dot invoke dot arn. Catch all the routes. Okay, that means to ensure that all my routes, the routes being slash verify slash health, this has been well caught. Route key, target this, deployment, deploy stage. Hmm. API gateway to default. Okay. Auto deploy true. Lambda permissions for API gateway. I need to give the Lambda permission to the API gateway. Going back to Lambda dot Terraform file, Lambda permission to that API gateway I need to give. So basically the permission I need to give it for um, my Lambda for my API gateway. and then I can spin up the Terraform in it. Let's see. Don't think I need this anymore. Terraform in it. Initializing the backend, initializing the provider login plugins. Terraform has been successfully initiated. Let me see. Yeah, let me try to not apply for sure. Let me try to see the plan. The plan before it actually deploys to the AWS. I want to see what kind of plan it tries to. This is a good one. Terraform encountered an error while generating this plan. Invalid provider configuration. Add provider block to the root module and configure the provider requirement argument as described in the provider's documentation. Okay, registry Terraform. Terraform encountered an error while generating this plan. Invalid provider configuration. Registry dot. Required explicit configuration. Add the provider block to the root module and configure the provider. Required argument as described. It says handler not found. Yeah. Express hyphen lambda dot zip. Hmm. Missing Lambda permission. No, this is not. Fix the Terraform. A route key. Any with proxy. Invalid provider configuration. Requires explicit configuration. Add provider block to the root module and configure. Oh, okay. I did not add the root Terraform file, right? Yeah. That I need to use AWS to start with, and yeah, shit. Provider TF. I did not even add the basic provider TF file. That the AWS provider is sorry, the cloud provider I want to use is AWS version this, and yeah, this AP South. No, I think I wanted to use EU West one. EU West one. The region, right? EU East one. I think all my lambdas and all. Let me quickly check. All my lambdas should be in EU East one. Yeah, EU US East one, not EU. US East one. The United States, North Virginia. Okay, good. Provider.js was missing. Terraform does not take the credential from the provider block. Best practices, it uses the AWS standard keychain. Okay, so I need to configure the AWS configure. Yep, I had my secret. I think I've stored it in the VS Code itself. AWS key ID, secret key, US. What was the location again? US East one. JSON, yeah. So L cat. Let me see what it has. Wait, I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so it has taken in the credential. It has this information. cat also the. I'm just logging. I'm just trying to see what it has configured. Okay, this is good. This looks good. Export the environment variable. Okay, I need to export this environment variable. Where do I have to export this environment variable? Verify before apply. Provider is AWS. Profile. Here I can check this as my profile. Let's say, don't say my profile. This is so weird. Tejas profile. Tejas Mac. Tejas hyphen Mac hyphen profile. Okay, and then I need to apply. It says option 2. One second. Option 1, AWS CLI recommended. Okay. I no need to. This is different options. Like I can do via this or this or this. So with CLI, I'll try to do. I don't have multiple accounts, so one account is good. I have chosen option 1, by the way, and then once it is done, they just Mac profile instead of using just my profile, profile. Some configure access key ID. It is creating two profiles. I don't want to configure profile for the no. I've already configured it. Let me apply Terraform init. Failed to query the provider package. Could not retrieve the list of package version for provider HashiCorp locked. Does not match the configured version 5.0. Must use init upgrade to the selective new version. It says this versioning has an issue. Failed to query the available provider package. Could not retrieve the list of available versions of provider HashiCorp AWS lock provider. Does not match the configured version, which is 5.0. Must see the Terraform init upgrade. Okay, it is asking me to upgrade it. So it has found the AWS version, which was 5.0, and it has upgraded it. I don't know the profile part. Hmm. Yeah, I see this Terraform plan. Let's see the errors. Whoa, looks good. No more errors. Plan 8. I feel like to deploy it and check. Let me deploy. Terraform apply because with my AWS configure where I've configured my credential, it is taking that and using that to deploy it onto my AWS account. Why, yeah. Do you want to perform this action? Yeah, obviously. Okay, so just to give you till it is deploying, just to give you the view what happens. So when the Terraform, there are multiple elements, right? Like locally, I have installed Terraform CLI. Then there is AWS CLI. You remember where I have done the configure? Um, there was this root configure folder under root dot something slash something. There was a configure folder, right? So here is where I have set my credentials. Once these credentials were set in my AWS CLI, using the AWS CLI is where I have written all my files. My file related to lambda.terraform, the file related to what was the other file, guys? The file related to IAM, yeah, IAM.terraform, so on, right? So this, the CLI, the CLI is where I have configured my creds. The Terraform CLI where it goes and checks this. It first it initiates a Terraform, then it plans basically the strategy where how it wants to deploy using this CLI credential. It goes to my front end, let's say. So it goes to my AWS console, the GUI, and then it deploys this, right? It deploys from my Terraform, all this after doing all this plan deploys to this. So yeah, this is how in short it works. I would going back to the code. I think it has done that. Let me quickly go and validate the same. 3 minutes ago, the Express API. Let's see. Yeah, so this is visually delightful. If you remember what we were discussing, the API gateway part, the API gateway part, which triggers my Lambda, the Lambda which is Express API, right? The Express API. So this part is so this has given the API endpoint as well. Nice. For the Express API, so the API gateway Whenever you have a request, hit to the API gateway, then via API gateway, it goes to the Express API. The Express API, let's say the Lambda, which is my Lambda. In my case, right now, it is a API itself. It serves an API itself. Hmm. It serves my server.js, so on and so forth. Okay, let me actually test whether this works or not, or I'm just getting happy for no reason. Um, Here you have, I'll quickly click on monitor. I want to see, not this, sorry, I want to see the CloudWatch logs as well if I hit that. But before that, API gateway, configure, this is my API endpoint. I need to hit the health endpoint to see whether this is functional. So right now, just to give you the view, I'm just working on this. I'm just deploying the backend using the AWS Lambda on the AWS Lambda, such that it is no more local host 3000, rather it is deployed onto the web, and then anyone from anywhere in the world can hit this. That is what I'm trying to do. The whole context of this video was that, using Terraform. Okay, I have the API endpoint. Should I use Postman? Yeah, I'll use Postman. But till then, no, I did not even sign in. Okay, I'm in. I would create a new request. I don't know, I'll just create a new request. REST API basic. Hey, nah. Okay, this looks good. Slash health slash get. Alright, like this is my API gateway, base URL, and if I remember correctly, from my base URL, it goes to the app. From app, I have verify and health. I want to hit this health endpoint. This is what I'm trying to do. It's a get request. That's good. For my Lambda part, I want to not just monitor, configure the CloudWatch. Yeah, the CloudWatch logs. Okay, let me hit. It says okay. But why is the CloudWatch log? Okay, let me open directly the CloudWatch, not front. Difference between CloudFront and CloudWatch. CloudWatch is to monitor the logs. CloudWatch. CloudFront is to an alternate of it's to do your IAC, infrastructure as code. With the alternative which I have choose is Terraform today. Yeah, the logs. Uh, I was trying to see for slash AWS slash Lambda slash what was it? Express API. Here it is. Log stream. Yes. So yeah, this was the request. This was the request which I have sent. Looks good. So the health API endpoint is working. I'll quickly save this under AWS. Let's say similarly, I would like to do a post call, right? A post call to verify. I don't have an image. I think definitely it should fail, but the good part is the backend has been deployed. I'll save this as well. Did I write post? No. It is a post endpoint. A post endpoint to verify it should fail. No image is provided, yeah. But you see, the log would. Why the log did not come? I think it came as a different log stream. Or okay, so the backend part is done. The backend part has been deployed using the Terraform. Everything looks good. I don't know why the cloud watch and maybe it takes time to refresh. That's why there is no matrix yet. I think I've just hit hardly once or twice. I was more interested to see the logs, CloudWatch log in the same screen. Ah, here it is, right? Like I have done multiple log streams. I don't know why it is not refreshing here, but here it is. Great. So this is where I was trying to look into that. Ah, this one. Okay, sounds good. So there were multiple calls where I have done invocations. I have done. Yeah, now it looks to be streamlined. It took some time to showcase its availability, and there were no data availability. Okay, the backend part is deployed. It has been hosted and deployed. Let's say using my Terraform init and using my Terraform strategy, the deployment strategy which I've used for backend. Now I would like to also do the same for the front end part, the Terraform to use the front end, maybe in the next video. But at least the backend is live and working now, so that's a good news. Thank you.